Welcome to Starring You. I'm your host, Tasha Johnson. I'm very excited to introduce you to Kamali Thompson, who blogs over at KamaliThompson.com. She's a third-year med student and blogs about her adventures of pursuing her goal of becoming an orthopedic sports surgeon while achieving her dream of making the 2020 U.S. Olympic fencing team. Welcome, Kamali.
Hi, how's everything?
Good. So I was very intrigued when I came across your bio. I just think fencing is amazing, and I've actually taken a class myself, and that was one of the things that drew me to you. But then when I found out more about you and you're balancing this with, going to med school, that was just absolutely amazing to me. So enough about me rambling about you. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Well, you did such a great job. I feel like that's me in a pretty good nutshell. I am a med student. I'm between my third and fourth year. I'm currently doing research right now. A lot of residency is getting really competitive. So a lot of students are doing research to bump up their application, because when you are published and you write all these papers, it makes you more desirable. So I have moved to New York City and I'm doing research right now, and it's wonderful. I love it. And I'm sometimes make trips to the OR, but I am doing that, and I am simultaneously fencing in New York City as well. I'm currently 6th on the national points list, and in order to be a national team member, you have to be top 4. So I am right there, and hopefully I make not just the Olympics, but the World Championship teams every year leading up to the Olympics, because those World Championship team members are usually the people who end up making the Olympic team.
Wow. Yeah, and you wanted me to just stop at me introducing you? Are you kidding me? More people need to know about that. That's fantastic. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So tell us, why did you start your blog?
I actually was around for the last Olympic cycle. So 2016 or 2015 was when the Olympics. So let me explain for fencing how you qualify for the Olympics. So we have 8 international competitions, and we have 4 national competitions. And when you make top 64, you are allocated a certain number of points. So number 64 will get 100 points. Number 1 will get like 2,000 points. And you add up all of those numbers based on your results. So if I win 8 competitions, 8 times 2,000 is 16,000. So I would have 16,000 points. And then at the end of the year, the top 4 people are the people that make the Olympic team. So I didn't know, this is my first Olympic team that I was around for, but I just knew like crazy stuff. Like we travel all over the world, and Olympic year we have camps beforehand. So there's like 12 girls. We're in Europe for 2-3 weeks at a time. I really knew some crazy experiences were going to happen, and I wanted to document them. But I was so tired from just training all day and competing. I just never got around to starting a blog. So 2016, I said, you know what? I have a lot of experience in athletics and fitness. And then in med school, I didn't just go to med school, but I actually went to business school as well. So I have the whole like grad school thing down. So let me write a blog and tell people things that I never knew and I had to find out the hard way, so I can help out some other people and make their journey a little less difficult.
Wow. And that's what I tell people all the time. You would be surprised how many people out there are just dying to know your information. You may not think anything of it, but that information is the world to everyone else.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
So that's awesome that you went ahead and started your blog. So tell me, how did you get into fencing? I'm curious.
So I'm from New Jersey, and for whatever reason, the New Jersey area, and now Connecticut, is like booming with fencers. So when I started fencing in high school in New Jersey, because there are a lot of high schools that have fencing in the school. My mom and I used to be a dancer. So my mom and I were walking to the dance room at an open house for my high school, so we can just see that the school and what programs they offered. And on the way to the dance room, we came across a fencing demonstration, and my mom was like, "Oh my God, fencing! This is such a unique thing. You should do it so you get into college." My mom's not like a you should do it. She's like, when I say it, that means you're going to do it. So I I had to
Yes.
start
Yes.
fencing on the team.
Maybe we're related.
Like, yeah. Exactly. So she said you should fence, but what she meant is I signed you up already for the fencing team. And it kind of just went from there. My first year, honestly, well, anyone who's ever seen fencing, it looks really weird. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not like it doesn't look
Yeah.
weird. So my first year, I was like, this is so weird. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be popular. Like, this is not helping me out at all, you know? But when I started, I really liked it, and I liked how competitive it made me feel, and I wasn't good, and I wanted to be better. So then I joined my club in New York City that just has tons and tons and tons of Olympians, and I've been with them ever since.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. So for you,
Oh wait, sorry.
can you
It
hear
kind
me?
of broke up a little bit.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
there you
okay.
go.
Oh, no worries. So what is your most memorable win?
So, so the same Olympic year, what can happen is if someone gets, if the top four get enough points early enough in the season, then you know where you stand, you know. So what happened was we had two competitions that it kind of came down to. So numbers 4 through 9 were really neck and neck the whole season, and the second to last competition, it was between me and another fencer. Well, no, it was between all of us, but at the end of the competition, it was me and another fencer left, and then I lost. So then I knew when I lost that bout, I didn't make the team. And 2 weeks later, we had national championships. So there's 3 titles that like really mean something in the fencing community, and it's national champion, national team member, which means you go to worlds, or Olympic team member. So I went to national championships. In the previous year, I came in second. And I go to this competition, and I'm like, it's the most defeated I've ever felt in my life. So I didn't get out of bed for like 2 weeks. I definitely didn't practice. I didn't even want to like look at fencing anymore because I just felt so disappointed. I feel like I just failed. But I've already paid money for this flight and for this hotel. So I just went to nationals, and I was like, well, there's nothing else that can happen because I already didn't make the national team. And then before I knew it, I was fencing for the gold, and it was 14-14, and you fence the person who gets the 15 first wins. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna have 2 failures in one season, so I'm gonna win this bout. And I won, and I became national champion. And that was really memorable.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that was really memorable because one, I just like I can't even believe I mustered up the energy to get to that competition, let alone actually win it, because I really felt defeated. But I think the reason why it was so amazing is because sometimes you set these goals for yourself and you see the end result and you see what you want, but that doesn't happen. But it doesn't mean that you failed. Like, it doesn't mean that there was nothing that you could take away from that experience. So at the end, an Olympic team member, but I am a national champion. So, you know, when I go places and people say like, well, who's this person? Other people will say, oh, that's a national champion. And everyone's like, oh, okay, well, that must mean you're good. So, I mean, it still gave me a little bit of credibility, and I still have an Olympic team to work for, but it was nice to have that when I didn't make the Olympic team.
Oh my goodness. And it also kind of proves that all of that hard work didn't, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of that hard work
Exactly.
didn't
Like,
go to
it didn't
waste.
go to waste.
Sometimes we
Right.
think, exactly. Sometimes we think just because we didn't achieve one particular goal that, oh my goodness, that was a
Mm-hmm.
waste of time. And I'm a firm believer that nothing is ever a waste of time.
Agreed. I
Nothing.
definitely agree with that. And then I think one of the reasons why I did so well at that competition without having to really like psych myself up and be in the right mental state was because I had been training at such a higher level that it was almost natural for me to
Mm-hmm.
fence people, you know, just Americans, just people who are on my level. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
Nothing goes to waste.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Now, you are in fantastic shape. Okay. So by this time in the year, by this time in the year, people normally make that New Year's resolution to get in shape. And by this time of the year, let's be honest, I don't know how many folks are still
Yeah.
going to the gym.
Mhm.
I know I am, but let's be real here. So what type of advice would you give to those who are new to working out?
So shameless plug. I just wrote a blog post on this, so you guys should head over to KamaliThompson.com to check it out. But the most important thing is
Exactly. It's
just
a good one.
keeping a routine. So a lot of times, myself included, I say, oh, I want to go to the gym 5 times a week. If you're not going to the gym 5 times a week already, you're not going to be going to the gym 5 times a week. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you can't set these ridiculous
Yeah.
goals and expect to maintain it throughout the year. So what I tell people is set a goal of twice a week, because you can do anything twice a week. Set a goal of twice a week.
Yep.
And now everyone has Instagram. Everyone has access to YouTube. Find someone you like. Find their workouts that you think you can do, and have a plan for those 2 times you go to the gym. So like 5 exercises, 2 times you go to the gym, and just stick to that. Stick to that for 2-3 months, and you'll see a change already. And I think it's really just that simple. Is you want to just find time, make it a priority. And one of the reasons I wrote that blog post is because I'm 26, so I'm not by any definition old, but I am getting to the stage of life where people are working a lot, and health becomes like second, third on the list. But it's so important for people to be healthy and to be moving and to just get in shape, because by the time you reach 40 or 50, it's not that it's too late, but it's going to be so much harder to get in a routine at that time. So just start now. Find something you like. It doesn't have to be weights. People like Zumba, people like I don't know, cycling, spinning, any of that stuff. Whatever you like, twice a week, stick to it, and that's it.
Awesome. And you're right. I actually checked out that
Yes.
post. So that was one of the reasons why I asked that, because I wanted other people to read that as well. I was hoping you went ahead and went for the shameless plug, and not so shameless, by the way.
Actually, it was really awesome because a lot of my family members, like my older aunts and uncles, told me that they read it and they joined a gym. And I mean, I don't write my blog post for family, but I was like, that's awesome. So guys,
Sure.
people have read it and they said it's great, so you should read it too.
Yes, I definitely second that. So in addition to fencing and pursuing your goal of making the US 2020 team, you're also studying to be an orthopedic sports medicine surgeon. What does a typical day look like for you? Because I'm exhausted just thinking about that, and you're physically doing it.
It's a lot.
What does that look like?
So if I'm in a rotation, if I'm in a rotation, my days usually start at like 4 a.m. You start rounding at 5 a.m. So you have to be at the hospital by like 4:30, 4:45. You start rounding. What that means is you go see patients. For med students, you only see like 1 or 2 patients. If you're an actual resident or a doctor, you see like 10, 20 patients. And then everyone comes together and you present how that patient was overnight, what their status is looking like now, when can they get discharged. That takes a couple of hours. Then from like 7 o'clock, you'll grab a quick breakfast. 8 o'clock to pretty much the whole day. You could be in surgery if I'm on my surgery rotation, or you're just seeing patients. I'll be done around 4 o'clock, and at 4 o'clock, I go to practice. Practice is from 5 to about 9-ish. And at practice, you have an individual lesson with your coach. That's 30 minutes. And then you, what we call free fence. So you just grab somebody and then you fence them. That's about 5 minutes. And you want to fence 9, 10 people a night. And then I get back on the train and then I go home. And then twice a week, practice is a little shorter for me. And then I go to the gym.
Okay, I don't know about the rest of you guys listening to that, but I am exhausted just thinking about doing that. Wow, I mean, that is some kind of schedule. How in the world do you stay motivated to keep that up?
So that's a good question. I've used several different tactics, but my most recent one is I got a whiteboard and I put it in my room and I wrote 3 goals because there's a lot of different things going through my head, but I realized that you need to focus on 3 things. Like, what are the 3 most important things? And I wrote becoming an orthopedic surgeon, being the best fencer in the USA, and getting my coins up. So, so
Don't we all? I think everyone's got that on their board.
So every day I wake up and it's like those are where that's where my energy needs to be directed. And sometimes, as bloggers, it's really important to get like Instagram followers. It's really important to get Twitter followers. It's really important to, find new connections with companies. But I was getting sidetracked from my 3 main goals. So I would just say, write your 3 goals, look at them every day, and it'll be ingrained in you. And if something doesn't fit into those three goals, it's not worth your time.
You know what? I definitely can attest to what you're saying because I'm a big goal setter myself. And I actually, at the beginning of the year, I have like 3 words that I always choose.
Oh, that's nice.
And those are the
I like
3
that.
words. And those are the 3 words that I always focus on. And for me, one of my big ones this year was called the pivot. And so I chose pivot because I'm doing a lot of things that I've wanted to do for a while, but I've been putting on the back burner because my background's marketing and communications. So the podcasting thing was kind of a stretch for me. But I still did it. You know what I mean? I'm just doing stuff that is kind of not necessarily expected of me necessarily, but it's something that I've always wanted to do. So I completely agree with you on the goal setting and not to get, sidetracked with the whole likes and the followers, because if it's meant to be, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's so easy to get sidetracked. And then even when like good opportunities pop up, like I had during Fashion Week, a couple of fencers are involved like in modeling and just advertising, so they know things. And so I was actually in a fashion show last year during Fashion Week, which was an amazing experience. But this year during Fashion Week, I don't know, I was like trying to go to these like parties and I was trying to go to these events, and I was just like, what are your 3 goals? And does any of this have to align with your 3 goals? Absolutely not. So you need to stop focusing on it and focus on what you're trying to do. Because there was a competition coming up like a couple weeks later. So I was just like, you're not focused. Okay. Focus right now. And that helped me get over it. Yeah. I mean, I went to like 1, but other than that, I was like, you need to focus.
Hey, as long as you have a balance, I mean, you can still allow yourself some fun. So I'm glad you went to the 1.
Yeah, you can. You definitely should. You definitely should.
Yeah. So tell me, who is your favorite athlete and why?
So this is difficult, right? Because I really want to say Serena.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. But she's just like so superhuman. It's just.
Yes, I know. Trust me.
Serena,
she's one of my favorites.
Serena for sure, but actually one of my favorites is Gabby Douglas, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Gabby was in a really interesting position where she did really, really well during the first Olympics, which everyone expects nothing but greatness from the gymnast. But she was in a position where she wasn't the new girl during the last Olympics, right? So she had to deal with like 1, competing, and then 2, having to deal with this like competition that the media created between her and the other USA gymnast, and just the way she handled herself and her focus, I really admired that. And then as a fencer, and I have natural hair, it's really difficult for me to compete and look amazing in terms of my hair. So when Gabby had that whole situation, I was like, I completely understand what's happening, because you're not focused on the way you look. You're focused on the tumble. You're focused on the situation. So I really admire, and that meant a lot to me too. I mean, I know she didn't, like, it wasn't something that she instigated, but the fact that it was like a big deal that her hair looked insane, I was just like, as an athlete, I totally understand how you feel. And thank you for not being perfect, because I'm not perfect. And it's great to see someone who looks normal when they're competing.
And you know what? Honestly, about that whole hair thing, I honestly wonder if that was because they were trying to make it seem like it was the African American community that was all up in arms. I seriously doubt it was really us.
Mm-hmm.
I know I may sound crazy saying that, but I really think with all these trolls and these conspiracy, all this hacking and stuff, I really doubt it was our own community putting
Right.
her
I mean,
down.
I don't even know. I don't even know where it came from, but it was just so,
Exactly. That's what
yeah,
I'm saying. It
it
came
did.
out
It
of
did. It was
nowhere.
just so silly to me.
It
But I know what I know
exactly.
what they were saying, but it's something because I have to deal, I don't have to deal with it, but something I've noticed when
Sure.
I'm
I know what
fencing,
you mean.
like there are most of the people who fence are like European or something like that. So
Sure.
they look
Sure.
amazing. They take off their mask and they like slow motion hair flip, and their ponytail looks phenomenal, you know? And I'm over here. You got like a nice visual of that, right?
I'm sorry.
You got a
Slow
nice
motion.
visual of
I just
that.
did. I did.
And then I'm over here and I like have braids sometimes. Sometimes I have my afro, and I don't take off my mask and look like, the Charlie's Angel slow motion model. So I was like, Gabby, I understand where you're coming from. Like, it's just not our look. We're not focused on that, though. We're focused on, getting the perfect 10. We're focused on winning.
And by the way, you look beautiful doing it. I remember I did see a picture of how excited you were when you won. And I think that might have been the situation that you were talking
Mm-hmm.
about earlier in the podcast. You
Thank
looked
you.
amazing. Honestly, those are the type of pictures that I like seeing anyway. Show me somebody real because we've got way too many fake people out there. And as another natural hair person,
Yeah,
yes.
right?
So I appreciated seeing that. Um, so here's a question for you. If you weren't fencing, what other sport would you be playing?
That's a good question because I'm built like a track girl,
Oh my
excuse me.
goodness,
I'm
so am I.
built like a runner. But the reason I say track girl is because when I went to Temple University, and there were like literally everyone would come up to me and they'd be like, "Oh my God, you're that track girl, right?" And I'm like, "No, I'm a fencer. I don't." Right. All the football players, all the basketball players are like, "Yo, do you run track?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't run track. I'm not on the track team." Um, in the gym,
Oh,
someone actually 2 days ago asked me if I was a runner for Team USA. I was like, no, I don't run track. So I really hate running, but sprinting, I don't hate. And I got the body for it. So I would definitely give sprinting a chance. Um,
okay.
Other than that, I'm kind of, I really like volleyball, but I'm too short. So I
Aw.
know. So yeah, I think track. I think I just be in track, and they look fabulous when they're running and they have that full makeup and that full glam.
Oh my
I
goodness.
could for sure be involved with
Yeah.
that. Like some lipstick, yes. I'll be a sprinter. I will be.
I will do the look. Ah. Okay, so I've got a couple fun questions coming up too. So, if someone made a movie of your life, would it be a drama, a comedy, a romantic comedy, action film, or science fiction?
Hmm. So I like knowing drama, but I'm not involved. So not a drama. I
Ah,
don't date enough to
good.
be a rom-com. So I think a comedy. I make a good joke out of everything. So I think I'd just be laughing the entire time.
Okay, that would be
Yeah.
me too. I feel like my life would be more of a
Mm-hmm.
comedy. Yeah, I've had way too many instances where people are like, seriously,
Right,
only you?
right.
And I'm like, yup, right here, right here. It takes a lot to embarrass me at this point in my life. So yeah, definitely a comedy for me too.
Definitely comedy.
So what actress would you have play you and why?
So I actually, and not that I think this myself, but I've been told this. I favor Regina Hall. And I actually
Yeah,
love her as an
okay.
actress, but I
Hmm.
would love for Regina Hall
Yes.
to play me. And it works because we look so similar. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, yeah, and I can see
Mm-hmm.
that too. I love her too. She's such a
Like
fantastic
Scary
actress, so I could
Movie,
totally
Regina
see that.
Hall, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, do you ever talk to yourself, and when and what do you actually say to yourself?
Yeah. I do speak to myself a lot, and I like to tell myself all the greats talk to themselves, which I don't think is fictional. I'm pretty sure all the greats probably do talk to themselves. I actually have a really bad habit of losing my confidence easily. So I've recognized that, and I have to let myself know that you need to stop it, pretty much. So there's kind of like two different Kamalis. There's like the Kamali that like lives everyday life, and there's a Kamali that kind of comes and needs to like slap other Kamali back into place when she starts getting into that really sad headspace. And when that happens, it depends in the what realm it's in. But if it's in fencing, I have like a certain mantra I say to myself to get out of that. And if it's in everyday life, I'm just like, stop being ridiculous and focus on your goal.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think we all have that other side of us that we have to kind of like get out of that space, because otherwise it's just going to drag you down, right?
Exactly.
So, yep. And actually, you kind of just went into that. I was going to say, when you're having a bad day, what do you do to make yourself feel better?
So I'm into podcasts now recently. So I just listened to one about a month ago, and what they were saying is that you really need to have a bird's eye view of how your day went and compare that to what your expectations are. So I do that every day now. And when I have a bad day, it's really just like about evaluating, because I feel like at this point in my life, the day-to-day thing doesn't really make or break you. It's about the end result. So it's just like, okay, why was this a bad day? How does it affect the end result? And what am I going to do tomorrow to make it better? Right? Because it's like, who cares if you have a bad day? It's like, are you going to keep having bad days though? Or is this just one of those days where, you know, you're on the sidewalk and then the taxi hit a puddle and then splash you? Like, you know, if it's one of those days, there's nothing you can do about it. But if it's something where it's just like you made it, like not you, but like I made an error, I was late to something, I, you know, had a really bad practice. It's like, okay, those happen. Like, you're not going to have 365 good days. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So just like, how does it affect the bigger picture? And if it's something you can change it. And if it's something you can't change, forget about it.
Nice. That's great info. Now, I almost feel kind of silly asking this question, but what is the best piece of advice you've ever received? Because that was pretty good right there. So if you've got something else to top that, let me know.
Okay, so the best piece of advice I ever got was be comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's really, I know you have to think about it for a second. But so when I was initially told that, we were starting our third year of medical school, and third year is when you start your rotation. So you're in the hospital and you're seeing all types of things, right? So you're going to surgeries, you're delivering babies, you're doing like GYN exams, prostate exams, right? Like things that are very uncomfortable. So you have to be comfortable being in those uncomfortable states. But the reason why I like that advice so much is because it really applies to all aspects of life. So in terms of fencing, especially when you get to a high level, in order to win, you have to be in these really uncomfortable states where you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't really know if the decision you're making is correct or not, but like you got to just make it and you got to hope that it works, right? So that's uncomfortable, but you got to be comfortable being in those uncomfortable positions. And then in terms of traveling, like I travel all over the world. I'm in like China, Korea, Russia, Poland, France, Spain, places that I speak their language, right? Which is really uncomfortable, but I have to be comfortable being in those areas too, or else like these trips aren't going to be fun for me. And then on a daily basis, I feel like in order to grow as an individual, if you're one of the smartest people in your circle, or you're like one of the most informed people in your circle, you got to find a new circle. So you got to be around people that know more than you, that are better than you, in order for you to grow, which is uncomfortable. So you have to be comfortable in uncomfortable spaces. That's why I love that. That's why I love that saying so much.
I love that. And the mere fact that you were able to top the advice that you had just given us is just kudos to you, my friend. Because that was good advice too. So last question. What piece of advice do you have for aspiring bloggers?
So blogging is interesting, and I'm really happy that I did it because it just takes you to new avenues, like being in podcasts that you just didn't expect.
Yeah, like this
Right,
one,
yeah,
right?
exactly. But I would say the two really important pieces of advice. The first one is you have to know what your goal is. So
Hmm.
if your goal is to be, in makeup and fashion, that's great. But then as those type of genres, like how are you going to set yourself apart? How are you going to be different? Like, what are your goals in terms of becoming a blogger? Are you trying to get advertisements? Are you trying to just, speak your piece like me? Like, what's your goal, right? And then that'll shape a lot of things in regards to your blog. And then the second piece of advice is quality over quantity. I cannot stress that enough.
Yes.
There is so many
Yes.
times. So I only blog once or twice a month, and that's not a lot, right? But I have had at least one person come up to me with every single blog post I've written and said, this was really beneficial to my life, which I didn't expect, by the way. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And I would love to blog more, but I just can't because of time restrictions. But
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I'll just look at some bloggers and just the blog, they'll have something like every other day or maybe once a week, but just like the quality of what they wrote was, it doesn't make sense to me. It's like, how does this add to someone's life? You know what I mean? Like, what was the point of you writing this?
Exactly.
And if there is no point, then don't write it, because it's easier for you to lose followers that way if they subscribe and then they keep getting email blasts of these articles that aren't beneficial to them. So I would just, yeah, it
Exactly.
just makes so much more sense to have like 3 or 4 posts a month. But when people get that email, they know it's going to be something really good compared to something like every other day. And you're like, this is not that great. So that's it.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And to your point, I've got a lot going on myself, nowhere near at your level, but I work all day and I'm trying to do these 2 different podcasts and blogs. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. I only put out a blog post maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah.
But again, to your point, a lot of people have told me this has helped, with well, it depends on, I've got 2 different blogs, but it depends. But everyone has always made a comment regarding the quality.
Right.
And that's what I've always striven for. I strive for quality because the quantity, to your point, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. I know that's one you got to think about too. So,
yeah, you don't.
but it's true though, and people don't think about that. So I really appreciate you bringing that up.
No, it's
Truly
so
appreciate you
true.
bringing
And I
that
have to remind myself because I get really sad because I have a lot of ideas, but I just,
up. I know.
there's just no time.
I know. You know what? I just write them all down.
Yeah.
I have one big gigantic, I kid you not, I have my own, I created this little social media content planner and I just write them all down on there and I just start crossing them off. When I get to it, I'm like, okay, I've got this idea. I just jot them all down and then I just cross them off when I get to it.
Oh, nice.
Nothing's going to be wasted. Yep. So you know what? I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to share your experiences and your blog with us. And I know I am confident that you've inspired people to pursue their dreams. So again, I just want to take some time to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And really quickly,
Oh, no.
so so
Yeah,
my
go
blog
ahead.
is dedicated towards education and fitness. So not just medical school, but just education in general. So if anyone has anything that they have questions about, please feel free to shoot me an email. I've already written a couple blog posts that people asked me to write. So I am more than happy to write something if y'all have any questions about it.
Huge thanks to those who are listening to today's show. You can connect with other bloggers and entrepreneurs by joining our free Facebook group called Goal Slayers. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to share it with others by writing a comment on Anchor or YouTube, or writing a review on iTunes or Google Play so others can discover this show as well. Remember, if you're everything to everyone, then you risk being no one. Creating your blog is the first step to investing in yourself and allows you the ability to connect with other people. You never know who you may inspire. See you in the next podcast.